Welcome.
Stupid thing. Yeah, okay, let's get it. Oh, man! What the? Yeah! Sweet.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the WiBit.net podcast, recorded live on September 29th, 2011. So what's in store for you this week? Introduction to computer programming has made a splash, okay, kind of a little ripple, in the Apple App Store. Thanks to the Chrome Store, we are seeing more traffic than ever. Is the new Amazon tablet actually worthwhile? Apple developer Smugness. Has it gone too far? Is it time to say goodbye to our old buddy JavaScript? Bryan will discuss how Dart could make us do just that. Also, the WiBit crew will talk about the most popular programming languages. Which ones should you learn? We analyze expert opinion, job postings, and the top computer science curriculums. All of this and some shameful apologies from Jason coming up on episode 8 of the WiBit.net podcast. For more content, you can find us on iTunes, wibit.podomatic.com, facebook.com/wibits, and of course, wibit.net. Welcome, Wibbiters, to episode, 8 of the WiBit.net podcast. Tonight, online, once again, we are fortunate to have the entire crew. Kevin, myself, we also have Bryan. How you doing, Bryan?
All right.
Gary, what's up?
Hey, Kev.
And last and least, we have Jason. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm glad you made such a great opening announcement because it brings me to a question I did not bring up in the pre-show because I wanted to catch off guard with it. What do you think about maybe finding somebody that likes to or maybe a few people to send us a few intros, like random intros, like
yeah,
what
that
you
sounds
just
good.
did.
Yeah,
like,
that Kevin can say in his announcer voice.
Right, like they are all doing what you just did except for better.
There you go.
Because they're better than you.
I don't know if that's possible, though. I am the greatest announcer in the entire world. At least my mom says so. I don't know. Actually, we're going to start off this podcast like we usually do with the top stories in the WiBit land. And the number one most important thing that has happened to this website is Jason finally got a new mic.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys will notice tonight that you will actually be able to understand what Jason's saying.
So I went to Walmart. I got a $35 mic, but I did not get the extended warranty because that's a ripoff and a scam.
Nice.
So some of you guys are probably going to wish that he had his old mic because when you actually hear Jason, it's not always that fun. I'm just kidding. So, Bryan, we have some really big news. We just kind of dropped this out without announcing it. What happened on the site this past week?
We just shook the Java course out of our pant leg.
Holy monkey.
I know. Pretty awesome.
And I think we dropped that out last Sunday evening, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's already the second most viewed course next to C++. So it's been having a pretty good reception, and I think everybody's enjoying it. Jason, have you heard anything?
Yeah, I mean, people seem to like it.
And
I don't know if it's second. I mean, it's second fastest growing, but it's still behind the other.
Yeah, I think that's what I meant, right. Second fastest
Well, and
growing.
I don't know how excited people are about it or if they just need to know it.
Yeah,
Who knows?
you're either getting ready for an exam in college or juicing yourself up for a job interview.
Yep.
Just remember, if you're going in for a job interview, watch that reflection crap because nobody uses reflection anymore, but every Java job interview asks about reflection for whatever reason. We also had a very exciting addition to the WiBit.net stuff. Gary, I'm going to ask you this question, Gary. What else did we release recently?
We released our first iOS app.
Oh, man. Which one was it? I forgot already.
The intro to computer programming, of course.
So, Bryan, I know that you've been kind of keeping an eye on the numbers. We have actually been selling a few of these.
Yeah, 2. And I think I bought one. And I had a promo code, so I don't think anybody actually paid.
I think my mom
I think I
bought
gave
one.
somebody a promo code. That was the other
And
one.
I think we sold about 15 in the first couple days.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So
I think it
programming
was
in
more
C-
than I think we all thought.
Yeah, good start.
So programming in C is on its way, and we hope maybe in the next week or less to at least submit the rest of the courses.
Now, we should tell them that the purpose of these apps are so they can view them when they're offline.
That's true. The purpose of these apps so you can view them offline.
You can say that again. The purpose of these apps is so that you can view them offline.
Yeah, on the go, in a subway, in a trolley car, on a bicycle, under a
No, don't do it on
in a
bicycle.
tower.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, don't do it
No,
on
I
a
don't
bicycle.
care. Do it while you're driving in your car. Yeah, I watch movies when I drive on the highway every day.
Do it in a pool while swimming underwater.
Absolutely.
While you're making love to your wife.
If you're taking a shower in the morning, I mean that's a solid 10 minutes. You're waking up, learn some programming before you get started on your day.
So,
Safety tips from WiBit.net.
so Jason, let's jump on your damp, dirty corner. What else is going on with the website?
Well, I think the most exciting thing is that we're IPv6 compliant, which I'm willing to bet not a single WiBit visitor has ever needed IPv6 compliance, but in
someday.
5 years they might, so we're ready for the future.
We're going to be around for 5 years. That's awesome.
We're Y2K compliant.
No, that actually isn't true yet. According to the website, it's 1972.
He just rolls back the clock, so we never have to run into that problem.
I actually wrote an algorithm to suggest popular music based on the date on the server, and it keeps recommending Ace of Base, which is weird.
Nice.
But right now, if you go to ipv6.wibit.net, you're viewing it on an IPv6 compatible pipe. Other than that, we got rid of the voting for now. I don't think any of us really thought that it was delivered the best way that it could be. Not a lot of people were voting anyway, so in the forums, you'll notice the box is now gone. You can't vote on if a post was helpful or not. It'll come back when we have it formatted a little bit better and it's a little cleaner and works a little better.
That's kind of sad because I'm going to miss pumping myself up by voting for my own posts.
Yeah, I'm going to try to block that going forward. Come up with a way to Kevin can't vote on anything. And beyond that, this is a larger issue than we realized, but there's been some email problems where emails kept getting clogged up. I think we've isolated the issue. There was actually a number of issues with our email that was happening at the same time. I think we've isolated them all and debugged them all, but a lot of people tried to sign up for the site and weren't able to get their confirmation emails. So we're going to send out an email to all of you later with a simple instruction on how to retain your password and actually get into the site like you wanted to originally. We apologize for that. We weren't aware that it was such an issue until recently, so that's that. I don't think there's any other major updates to the site right now, other than the game time thing. I mean, we're looking to play some games soon. So
Yes, we do have to get that figured out.
Yeah, as soon as everybody votes for Warcraft 3.
Yeah, right, exactly. As soon as you vote for the
Everybody
game
has
that we
voted
want
for
to play.
Warcraft 3.
Nice.
Let me take a look at the stats real fast. But so far, we had a couple of recommendations to play Half-Life.
Yeah, Half-Life's pretty awesome.
Like Half-Life 1, right.
We had some Half-Life 2 also. We had a lot of people suggesting just Steam games in general. But just about everybody confirmed Quake and Warcraft.
As long as nobody says Daytona, USA.
No, we had a Counter-Strike suggestion, Battlefield 2, League of Legends, and Minecraft, which Minecraft, it's not going to happen.
Battlefield 2 might not be a bad idea. That was a great game.
Especially because Battlefield 3 is right around the corner.
Yeah, it's coming out, I think, like next month or whatever.
Well,
yeah.
the beta's out now. I got a beta invite to that today. And I don't have a machine capable of rendering it in its full graphical glory, but I'm going to go, steal one, and then I will, and I'll play it, let you guys know how it is.
So some of you guys that were trying to access the site over the weekend may have noticed a bit of slowness. And don't think of this as a bad thing. Think of this as a good thing. We have actually been very fortunate to have a pretty substantial increase in our traffic starting this past weekend.
It tripled.
Yes. So we had to actually bring the site down temporarily, and Jason brought it up on some new hardware so that we were able to handle the new loads so that everybody had, adequate resources devoted to them. And we're pretty excited about that. We think that the traffic is coming. I think, Jason, you said from the Chrome store.
Yep, a lot of people are finding us through Google Chrome, which is cool, It's cool.
We'll take traffic any way we can get it. So in the news, Brian, I think you had a couple of topics that you wanted to kind of get out there.
Yeah, so yesterday Amazon announced the Kindle Fire, and I'll probably say what other people may be thinking, but probably wouldn't want to admit. The Kindle Fire seems like it's just one big Amazon app, and that's it. So although you can run Android apps on it, you have to buy the Android apps from the Amazon store, which is okay. But if you notice how it displays all of your things, it will throw an app in with a book with an album, so they're all kind of mixed together. Do you know what I mean? And it's all kind of like on your shelves. And there's almost no storage on the device. Everything that you have on the device is all stored in the cloud.
Ooh.
Yeah, do you see what I mean? So it's a little weird, because that means if you currently have stuff, you can't get it on there unless you would have bought it on the Amazon store with your user account. And when you buy the device, they bind your user account to the device before they ship it to you. So the reason it's so cheap, in part, aside from the 2-inch shorter screen size, is they know that the only way that you can do anything on it is by sending them money. So that offsets and supplements the inexpensive cost of the device. It also significantly limits it. You're reliant on Amazon for updates, and the only internet browser on it is the new
Silk.
It's Silk, yeah, thank you. Amazon Silk web browser, which may be okay, but anytime I've ever seen like just some company that's not really in the developing a web browser business, apart from Google, come out with a new browser, it's usually not necessarily a good thing.
It's garbage.
Hey, back to Kindle Fire. So with your description, you're saying that they can't operate unless they're on Wi-Fi? They can't do anything outside of it?
To a degree, it will cache, but you won't have all of your movies and stuff downloaded now. That all comes...
Well, I think there is some local storage.
Yeah, there's some, but it's not extensive, and it's not very large. You don't have a lot of storage, and you don't have a lot of options for...
But to the Fire's defense, they're
That's
not
true.
really selling it as... Like, they also came out with a whole boatload of new Kindles, which all look fantastic also,
Yep.
for all very cheap prices.
Yep.
What Amazon has done, and also I found out earlier today, they're going to lose $50 on every Fire sold.
But they'll make it up in stuff and content they sell.
Right, of course. And that's kind of the thing. The only way Android was going to be able to compete with iOS in that space was if they offered that $200 price mark. They did it. They had to subsidize a few things to get it to happen, but they are offering, a pretty powerful piece of hardware which is going to be hacked.
Yep.
That's just going to happen. Cyanogen mod on the Fire is going to happen within 3 days. I'm giving it 5 days, maybe.
You're going to get a lot of people buying it that don't know what they're buying.
It's true.
Yeah, well, and the people that don't know what they're buying, it is kind of one big Amazon app, but that's kind of worked for Amazon in the past with the Kindle. I mean, it's as far as what you mentioned with it's just a big Amazon app, it's following the Kindle model kind of the Apple model in a lot of ways, where everything's kind of controlled for you.
That's
and
true.
you're given everything in a format that's very controlled, and they have people that have thought about what people want to do and just getting them right to it. So I think the Fire, I don't know if I'm going to buy it, but I think it will certainly compete in the tablet market where other Android tablets kind of haven't.
Yeah,
It'll be fun to watch it roll out. It doesn't come out till November.
And I'm excited to get my hands on one and feel it out.
Speaking of getting your hands on something and feeling it out, what about Google Dart?
So Google Dart, some of you probably have heard Google's announcement that they are coming out with a new programming language called Dart. Google Dart is, in a nutshell, their replacement for JavaScript as an unavoidable failure. So Google says JavaScript is irreparable, like you just drop it, it's flawed, fundamentally flawed, and it's not going to take the web where it needs to go. So Google Dart is supposed to be the answer to this, and it will probably have web break consequences where it will be breaking standards left and right, but it'll be interesting to see. So they haven't given out tons of information on it, but I'm sure it'll be interesting if nothing else.
Well,
So Kevin and Brian, when are you going to have the tutorials ready for Google Dart?
Hey man, if people want it, people are going to get it.
Well,
the kind of work that we all do is we're exposed to everything, so we're going to have to learn this for our own careers as well. So we might as well, if you guys want it, we can bring it to you.
Well, they're throwing it out there as a JavaScript replacement, right?
Yeah.
Well, if anybody was poised to throw out a JavaScript replacement, it'd be somebody with the second most popular web browser out there, and that's now Google. I think the numbers are going to be released tomorrow that show that Chrome has overtaken Firefox as the second most popular browser.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll tell you this, guys. I mean, I know, I've been into, obviously you guys know, I've been developing since I was a kid, and one of my first, love affairs was with web development, and I remember the first first time I got my first JavaScript book, and it was probably 1997. So the web has changed so much since then. It is about time that we kind of take this thing to the next level, because anybody that does any web development that doesn't use web frameworks, that does a lot of it by hand, it's easy to see those downfalls and pitfalls that JavaScript has. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I am too.
So, oh my God, Brian, seriously, I have posted on this blog more times than you'll ever do in your life.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy.
Let's have a quick discussion about Apple Smugness. Now, Brian and I were doing some work recently, and we had to do some research on some stuff, and we often come across these guys that are just on these Apple forums, and we found an example we had to post it. We put it on the forum, and this guy was just, what was he saying? That he posted more than everybody else would in there.
But the only thing he posts is you're doing it wrong.
Right.
Well, yeah, they're doing it wrong. That's why they're asking a question in the first place. That's what they're supposed to learn on their own. That reminds me of how it was back in the early 90s,
Yeah.
When everybody was trying to protect information for job security and crap like that, So it's a load. It's horse. But the problem is, here's the bigger problem. There's a lot of people like this on the Apple forums where you post a question, they're not helpful. The most often response you ever get if you post any question about Apple anything, Apple development anything, is, did you read the documentation?
Yeah, that's the first answer.
That's
not an answer, ladies and gentlemen. Not an answer.
So somebody will say, yeah, I read the documentation. It's a little ambiguous because the thing they told me to do is now depreciated, and it doesn't seem like there's anything that's replaced that. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, show me your code. And then they show the code. You're doing it wrong. Well, that sucks.
Neither one of those statements was an answer to the question at all.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, and especially here on the WiBit forums, we're not going to tolerate that kind of thing because we don't want that kind of community. So I'm going to say this. If anybody has that tick in their head to do that, I would rather you not post anything, than post a non-answer.
The funny little stat about the post that you made, I was looking at the Brighter Ideas guy himself, the screenshot that you put up there, and his join date is July of 2009.
Yeah.
Which puts him on that forum for a little over 2 years.
Right.
With 6,308 posts.
Right.
That's 8 posts. It's a little more than, I think, 9 posts a day, and he's 36. I mean, I don't mean to infer that the guy's a loser, but I mean, come on.
The other thing is, I can say you're doing it wrong really quickly. I don't have to think about it.
So you're saying he deserved the smugness?
I'm saying he's probably divorced at least once, is what I'm saying.
If he was lucky enough to get a girl in the first place, I guess.
But here's the larger problem, is if any of you have an iPhone or an iPad, you'll notice that there's a serious stagnation problem with application development. There's no good apps that have been coming out, not in the slightest.
Yeah. It's all kind of rehashing old ideas.
They're either games or rehashing something.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Hollywood is.
Even if it was a new type of game, I'd still say it's not changing the way that you use the device on a day-to-day basis.
But does that have to happen every month?
No, but I haven't seen it happen in more than a.
Well, I have, because there was a revolutionary app called the WiBit.net Introduction to Computer Programming, and there was also this new complex game called Tic-Tac-Toe that just came out. That the same developers made that.
But so I'm not saying
that
it's
on
dead.
iTunes.
Yeah, right.
I'm not saying it's dead by any stretch of the imagination, but I am saying the Apple smugness will have an effect on things becoming developed because developers will get turned off by the community.
Right.
And they're going to mimic the community exactly.
And it's even worse. Right.
That's kind of an interesting point because the main event of this podcast is to kind of have a brief discussion about the popularity of some languages and also how that's changed over time. So the first study that we're going to take a look at was a Computer World study from 2005 that had the most popular languages in 05, mind you. This is 6 years ago, right? C#, Java, Visual Basic, C++, and JavaScript were the top 5 most popular according to Computer World in 2005. Now, Brian brought to our attention an IEEE study that came out with a couple of different categories of popular languages.
That's true.
Yes, and what is this?
Okay, based on how many books are out there, how many books are sold on about a language, it's dominantly Java, followed by C++.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then it trails down and splits up very quickly into little tiny slices of Visual Basic, C#, C, SQL, JavaScript, Python, and starts splitting up really quick. But the two big, massive, heavy hitters are Java and C++. Mm-hmm. If you look at things like custom applications for businesses, it's predominantly Java. If you look at Unix operating system device drivers, predominantly C.
Right. C++, right.
Yeah, C++. So you have most discussed in IRC, which will skew your user base because it's IRC, but IRC is still going strong. And so the most discussed on IRC is stuff about Python, and Python used for web development, database queries, academic computing. Python is a pretty, as far as a scripting language, pretty heavy hitter out there.
And Python is also beloved by a lot of the hardcore guys.
Yep. And then according to Craigslist, about how many job postings on Craigslist, and then you have to wonder like what businesses are posting a job on Craigslist. I'm not really sure. It's usually like some guy.
They're looking for Python developers on Craigslist?
No, PHP developers.
Oh, PHP developers.
Yeah.
Python's the preferred language of hackers too.
That makes sense a little bit.
Here's how I think the posts go though. I think it's kind of like we'll pay for PHP work because somebody knows they're like slightly stoned college kids. Just come over to my house at this address. I have a computer set up in the basement, no video cameras that you can see, and I just want you to do a little programming. I'll pay by the hour. It's no big deal. It's totally safe.
I may come down and smell your head.
I was waiting for that, Jason. I was waiting for that.
I just want to smell your hair. That's all I want to do.
Yeah. So IEEE, you're looking at Craigslist. What are you doing? Why didn't you do like an aggregate of all job sites out there, which is precisely what Kevin did because he's 10 steps ahead of IEEE.
Yeah. So what I did is I looked at Indeed.com, Dice.com, and CareerBuilder.com as what I believe are the three most heavy hitters in the.
Slightly more legitimate than Craigslist.
Yeah, they're kind of the heavy hitters in the online job search market. So basically, I kind of broke it down by percentages, and we can post the percentages in the site. I don't know if we really have to go over these numbers. What I will say is in Indeed.com this year, job postings that mentioned Java were number 1. C++ number 2.
Now Java was twice over C++.
Yeah, Java was 33% of this entire set, right.
Right.
So it was about 2 times the C++. And that's sort of the same as the IEEE study for the books sold. It's very similar type of numbers.
Yep.
C# came in 3rd, followed by Visual piece of crap. Then Perl, Python, and our little buddy Objective-C kind of trails there towards the bottom.
So Dice is also predominantly Java at 41%.
And that is a higher percentage than the Indeed study or the Indeed
that's
search.
Huge.
Yeah.
And so half that, you get down to C#, C++, and then trailing after that is Perl and Python and stuff.
Right.
But it still goes to show, the core. It's why we chose the core languages to teach you guys and really spend time to make sure you guys have like a wicked solid understanding of these languages. Because Java, C++, C#, when we get it up there, I mean those are like the jobs that are out there. That covers like 80% of the job market.
Yeah. And then on Career Builder, it's slightly different. Jason, what were the Career Builder results?
Well, Java was number 1, had 45%. C# is right after that with 16%, then Python, Perl, C++, Objective-C, and then Visual Basic, bringing up the rear.
How fitting.
But Java, I'm not a big fan of Java. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Well, like it or not, Java
is
still
dominating.
I mean, that is the one trend across all of these different studies.
Absolutely.
Well, the thing with Java, though, is that it encompasses so much that other things don't. I know that when I was doing some DBA work a few years back, I mean, Java was there, but nobody ever developed a C# application to work with Oracle. It was always Java.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and you never hear of anybody doing anything like that. So the Java numbers might be bolstered by things like that.
Yeah.
It might also be bolstered because there's not as many programmers available in Java, so the jobs sit out there longer.
That's true.
Well,
That's
I don't know. See, Bryan and I kind of have our own philosophy. I think, and Jason kind of hit it on the head with his point. A lot of legacy code was written in Java, so in order to keep it running, we have to have Java developers available. Java is also, as Bryan talked about in the Introduction to Computer Programming course, Java is a low risk language because a developer writing in Java doesn't have direct memory access, so your application kind of runs in its own bubble, and if it screws up, it screws itself up. It doesn't really have much impact on the system itself. Like C, if you start infringing on memory and you don't know what you're doing, you can actually create some memory condition where you hose up the operating system, you know?
Yep.
So, and it's kind of interesting. So our C lineage that we have been preaching is heavy towards the top. Now, another thing that we did to kind of close this whole thing out, and this is all, like kind of us taking a little stab here at Visual Basic, because even though Visual Basic shows its ugly face on all of these studies, it does kind of linger there.
And it's shrinking fast.
Yeah, and it does kind of linger. It's kind of like that stuff that settles at the bottom of your toilet when you haven't used it in a while. That's kind of what Visual Basic is. Now, we also looked at some fairly well-known, reputable computer science colleges and ranked based on the curriculums they have posted on their websites. We listed the languages that they preach and that they teach. So I'll start here first. University of Maryland, which is in our backyard here, their curriculum is C and C++ as the core languages. They also offer advanced classes in Ruby and PHP. We also have other colleges like MIT. This isn't MIB like Men in Black. This is MIT.
So MIT is also C and C++. And I think that there's a lot of schools out there that don't teach C, but these are kind of like the actually intelligent colleges.
Right. These are kind of, if you look at most computer science curriculums, these guys rank towards the top.
And I'd say this is what a college course should be, and I'm also going to say this is what most schools don't teach.
Yeah, because they're lazy.
But MIT, C, C++, Python, and Java. And that MIT's kind of hit it on the head. Based on job searches and stuff, that's what's out there. Mm-hmm. And then you got Berkeley. Berkeley also is exactly the same. C, C++, Java, and Python. Exactly the same as MIT.
Only Stanford seems to be the one that doesn't cover C. Yeah, Cornell is... Who cares about Cornell?
Well,
nobody cares about
Stanford
Cornell.
offers C++ as the core course. They also jump into Objective-C and Java.
Yep.
Now, I find that kind of interesting, as Objective-C shouldn't be a core language, but, you know...
Yeah, it might just be a fringe class they decided to teach for fun.
Maybe.
You know, it's like a marketing thing for people to go to the school.
And I think that Cornell, in my opinion, Cornell has the best in this list. And this is actually what WiBit.net did. Starting off with C as your base language, C++, then Java, and C#.
Yep.
So these...
Just for an FYI, out of the top ranked 35 computer science schools in the country, it goes number 1, Carnegie Mellon, then Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Stanford, University of California, Berkeley, and then Cornell University. So those are the top 5.
Well, is there anything else, guys? Is that it?
I think it's that. I think it's time to wrap it up.
I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us again for the WiBit.net podcast. We'll try to sneak another one out for you next week.
Hey, we might have our own dedicated IRC server and channel next week. People want to jump on. I think that'll be a fun addition to the site, is a chat room for people to come on and see if they catch one of us online. And
it'll also give me a chance to privately send people pictures of my.
That's really why I'm putting the IRC channel up, to be honest with you.
All right, guys. Take care, everybody.
See ya. Have a good night.
What was it? Hey, what was it? Was it remember in the chat rooms for like cybersex, it was ASL, which is age, sex, and location?
Yeah. That's going to be the name of the server. That's asl.wibit.net.
There you go. Thank you for supporting WiBit.net. For more content, please check us out on iTunes, wibit.podomatic.com, facebook.com/wibit, and wibit.net, WIBIT.net.